Why is Iran acting against India? Major Gaurav Arya breaks down the India-Iran situation. Imagine this. A country that called India its closest friend just a few years ago is now blocking Indian ships, threatening Indian workers, and quietly helping groups that want to hurt India. The world is watching, and the world is confused, because this is not some distant enemy of India. This is Iran, a country that once said India was its brother, a country that once depended on India for medicine, food, and trade, a country that sat at the same table as India for one of the most important port deals in modern history. But something changed, something deep, something dangerous, and most people don't know the real story. They think this is just about politics. They think this is just about some border dispute or some diplomatic misunderstanding. But the real story goes much deeper. This is about power. This is about survival. This is about a region that is being pulled in 10 different directions at once, and India is caught right in the middle. Major Gaurav Arya, one of India's most respected defense analysts and strategic voices, has spent years watching this region. He has seen things most people never notice. He has connected dots that most people ignore. And today, we are going to break it all down. We are going to go through 10 reasons, the 10 real reasons why Iran is acting against India. We are going to count down from reason 10 to reason 1, and I promise you this, by the time we reach reason number 1, your understanding of this situation will never be the same again. Stay till the end, because the final reason is the most shocking of all. Let us begin. Reason 10, the Chabahar port betrayal that changed everything. Let us go back a few years. India made one of the biggest strategic investments in its recent history. India agreed to develop the Chabahar port in Iran. This was not just a port deal. This was India's doorway into Central Asia. Without Chabahar, India had no land or sea route to Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, or Russia that bypassed Pakistan. Pakistan had always blocked India's access, but Chabahar changed that game completely. India invested hundreds of millions of dollars. Indian engineers went there, Indian companies worked there, and for a while it looked like a win for everyone. Iran got development, India got access. But then something happened. The Americans put heavy sanctions on Iran, and India, which had promised to keep building, started slowing down. India could not afford to anger America. India needed American trade, American technology, American support in global forums. So India pulled back from some of its commitments, not fully, but enough for Iran to notice, and Iran felt betrayed. That feeling of betrayal never fully went away. It planted a seed of doubt between two countries that at once trusted each other. And that seed slowly grew into something ugly. That was only the beginning. Reason 9. India chose America and Israel over Iran. Iran has been fighting a quiet war for decades, not just with guns and missiles, but a war of alliances, of friendships, of who stands with you and who does not. In this war, Iran sees Israel as its biggest enemy. Iran and Israel are not just political rivals, they are existential threats to each other. Iran has openly said it wants Israel gone. Israel has carried out operations inside Iran. They have killed Iranian scientists. They have blown up Iranian nuclear facilities. This is a deep, burning, generational conflict. And then India started getting closer to Israel. India and Israel began sharing military technology. India started buying weapons from Israel. Indian and Israeli leaders began meeting regularly. For Iran, watching India get closer to Israel was like watching a close friend shake hands with your worst enemy, and it hurt. Then there was America. India joined the Quad, a security grouping that includes the United States, Japan, and Australia. The Quad is widely seen as an anti-China alliance, but Iran is closely connected to China. Iran signed a 25-year cooperation deal with China. So when India joined hands with America and got closer to Israel, Iran saw the full picture. India was not their friend anymore. India was moving to the other side of the global chessboard, and Iran began to react. Reason 8. Pakistan is playing Iran like a chess piece. Now this is where it gets very interesting. Pakistan and Iran have had their own problems. They have fired missiles at each other. They have accused each other of supporting terrorists. But they share something very important. They share a burning dislike of India. And that shared feeling is stronger than any problem between them. Pakistan's intelligence agency, the ISI, is one of the most active spy networks in the world. They have spent decades funding, training, and directing groups that harm India. And lately, Pakistan has been whispering in Iran's ear. Pakistani officials have been feeding Iran information. They have been painting India as a threat to the region. They have been saying India is destabilizing the area. They have been pointing at India's moves in Afghanistan, India's growing navy, India's port investments. And Iran, already feeling betrayed and surrounded, has started listening. Pakistan did not create this problem between Iran and India, but Pakistan is making it worse every single day, and the world barely notices. But no one expected what came next. Reason 7. The China factor that nobody talks about. China is the invisible hand in this entire story. Most people look at Iran and India and see two countries, but Major Gaurav Arya always says, look at who is standing behind each country. Behind Iran stands China. China is Iran's biggest oil buyer. China has promised to invest $400 billion in Iran over 25 years. That is not trade. That is ownership. When you owe someone that much, when your entire economy depends on them, you start seeing the world through their eyes. And China sees India as its biggest regional rival. China and India fought a border war in 1962. They have had standoffs at Galwan, at Doklam, at multiple points along the Himalayan border. China does not want a strong, confident India. China does not want India to have influence in Central Asia, in the Indian Ocean, in the Gulf. So China quietly pushes Iran toward positions that create problems for India. China encourages Iran to delay Indian projects. China encourages Iran to make deals that block India. This is not a conspiracy theory. This is geopolitics. And India is now dealing with two fronts at once: the open challenge from China on its borders and the quiet pressure from China through Iran. This changed everything. Reason 5. Indian Muslims and the religious pressure game. Iran is not just a country. Iran is an idea. Iran sees itself as the leader of the Shia Muslim world. Shia Islam is a branch of Islam followed by millions of people in India, in Iraq, in Lebanon, in Bahrain, and across the world. And Iran uses this religious identity as a tool of foreign policy. When India introduced the Citizenship Amendment Act, when tensions rose in parts of India between different religious communities, Iran was watching closely. Iranian state media ran stories about India. Iranian officials made statements about Indian Muslims. They painted India as a country that was treating its Muslim population unfairly. This was not genuine concern. This was strategy. By raising the religious issue, Iran was trying to build pressure on India. Iran was trying to show the Muslim world that it was standing up for Muslims everywhere. And by targeting India, Iran gained credibility in certain parts of the Arab and Muslim world. India saw this clearly. India pushed back diplomatically, but the damage was already done.
Iran had opened a new front, not with weapons, but with words and religious identity. And the real story goes even deeper.
Reason 5. Afghanistan and the collapse of India's influence. When the Taliban took over Afghanistan in 2021, the entire region shifted. India had spent billions of dollars in Afghanistan. India built roads, dams, schools, hospitals. India trained Afghan police and officials. India had real influence in Kabul. And then the Taliban came back. And overnight, India lost most of that influence. The Taliban is close to Pakistan. Pakistan helped the Taliban for decades, and now, with the Taliban in power, Pakistan had a friendly government on its western side. For India, this was a strategic disaster, but for Iran, Afghanistan was also important. Iran shares a long border with Afghanistan. Iran had its own concerns about the Taliban. Iran did not trust the Taliban either. But here's the thing. Iran started using the Afghan situation to its own advantage with India. Iran began offering itself as the only reliable land route into Central Asia. Iran said, "Without us, India has no way in." And then Iran started raising its price. More conditions, more demands, more delays on Chabahar, using India's desperation as leverage. That is not friendship. That is negotiation from power. And India felt the squeeze. Reason 4. Iran's proxy groups are moving closer to India's interests. Iran does not just fight with its own army. Iran has spent decades building proxy groups, groups that fight on its behalf. Hezbollah in Lebanon, Houthi rebels in Yemen, Shia militias in Iraq and Syria. These groups are funded, trained, and directed by Iran. They are Iran's long arms. And now, some of these groups are operating in areas very close to India's strategic interests. The Houthi rebels in Yemen began attacking ships in the Red Sea and the Arabian Sea. This is the same sea that Indian trade ships use. India gets a massive amount of its trade through these waters. Every attack on a ship in that region hurts Indian businesses and Indian consumers. And Iran was not stopping the Houthis. Some analysts say Iran was encouraging them. For India, this was a direct economic threat. Ships were rerouting, insurance costs were rising, Indian exports were getting delayed, and while Iran did not say it was targeting India, the impact on India was very real. This was a message, and India understood it. Reason 3. Iran needs China more than it needs India. Let us be honest about something. India and Iran talk a lot about friendship, but friendship needs to be backed by something real. China has given Iran economic survival in the face of global sanctions. When America and Europe cut off Iran from their systems, when Iranian banks could not do international transactions, when Iranian oil could not be sold openly, China stepped in. China bought Iranian oil in massive quantities. China paid in ways that bypassed American sanctions. China gave Iran a lifeline. India tried to help too. India had been buying Iranian oil, but when American sanctions became too heavy, India stopped. India could not risk its own economy and its own relationship with America just to keep buying Iranian oil. And Iran noticed. China stayed. India left. That single fact has reshaped the relationship between Iran and India more than anything else. Because in international relations, whoever feeds you controls you. And China feeds Iran, so Iran listens to China, and China wants Iran and India apart. Reason 2. India's rise threatens the regional balance. Here is something that most people never say out loud. India's rise is threatening to many countries, not just to China, not just to Pakistan, but to Iran as well. India is now the 5th largest economy in the world. India has the most powerful military in the region after China. India's navy is expanding into the Indian Ocean, into the Arabian Sea, into areas that Iran once thought were its own backyard. India is building relationships with the Gulf countries. India has millions of workers in Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Bahrain. India does hundreds of billions in trade with the Arab world. India is becoming the dominant non-Arab power in the Gulf region, and Iran watches all of this with deep anxiety. Because Iran wants to be the dominant power in the Gulf and the broader Middle East. Iran wants to be the country that all others look to for leadership and strength. But India's rising economic and military presence is quietly pushing Iran to the side. Not through aggression, not through threats, but simply through India becoming stronger, richer, and more connected every single day. And powerful countries do not like being pushed aside, even if the pushing is quiet and unintentional. Iran is reacting to India's rise, and this reaction will only grow as India becomes bigger and stronger. Stay with me, because reason number one is the most important of all, and it is the one that Major Gaurav Arya has spoken about most powerfully. Reason number one: India refused to pick a side, and that itself became a problem. This is the deepest truth of this entire story. India has a foreign policy called strategic autonomy. It means India does not join anyone's permanent side. India talks to America and also talks to Russia. India trades with China and also pushes back against China. India works with Israel and also maintains ties with Palestine. India engages with Saudi Arabia and also tries to work with Iran. This is India's strength and also its problem. Because in a world that is splitting into two sides, countries that refuse to choose are being forced to choose. Iran looked at India and said, "You work with our enemies. You buy weapons from Israel. You join American security groups. You slow down on Chabahar. You stop buying our oil when America says no. And yet you call yourself our friend." Iran felt India was getting all the benefits of the relationship without paying the real price. And Iran decided that if India would not stand with Iran, then Iran did not need to protect India's interests either. This is not just about Iran. This is the challenge India faces across the world as global tensions rise. Every country wants India to commit. America wants India to commit fully to the West. China wants India to stay neutral and not join American alliances. The next 20 years will define whether India becomes the global power it has the potential to be. And if India stays true to its values, if India keeps building, keeps connecting, keeps standing firm, then all these challenges from Iran, from China, from Pakistan will look very small in the rearview mirror of history. India has survived invasions. India has survived colonization. India has survived partition. India has survived decades of being ignored and underestimated. And India is still here, still growing, still dreaming, still fighting. That is not just a fact, that is a miracle. That is the India story. And the best chapter of that story has not even been written yet. Jai Hind.